Hello, now that Canon has introduced the R7, lots of Canon 7D Mark II users are considering making the switch from their DSLR to the new APS-C format mirrorless camera. In this video, which is sponsored by MPB, I'll take a quick look at how the two cameras compare. Let's start with the sensors. Firstly, with 32.5 million pixels, the R7 sensor can capture a lot more fine detail than the 7D Mark II's 20 million pixel sensor. The R7 sensor also features dual pixel CMOS AF2 technology, Canon's most advanced version of its on-sensor phase detection focusing technology. At the time of launch, the 7D Mark II's autofocus system was pretty top-notch, with 65 cross-type AF points, but the R7 takes things to another level, with nearly 6,000 AF positions, 651 selectable points, and an impressive subject detection system that can track humans, animals, and vehicles. Similarly, the 7D Mark II is no slouch when it comes to continuous shooting, and it has a maximum rate of 10 frames per second for up to 31 RAW files or over 1,000 JPEGs. The R7, however, can shoot up to 15 frames per second for up to 51 RAW files or 224 JPEGs with the mechanical shutter, and 30 frames per second for up to 42 RAW files or 126 JPEGs with the electronic shutter. Those high rates might be overkill in many situations, but they're handy for capturing split-second action. Turning to video, the 7D Mark II maxes out at Full HD at 60p, while the R7 is capable of shooting 4K video at up to 60p and Full HD footage at up to 120p. The newer camera can also shoot using Canon Log 3 profile, which means you can get greater dynamic range and more scope to grade the footage post-capture. Further good news is the R7 can record beyond the usual 29 minutes and 59 seconds constraint, and if you have the storage capacity and battery power, you can expect to capture around an hour of footage before the camera overheats. As the Canon 7D Mark II is a DSLR and the Canon R7 is a mirrorless camera, there is significant difference in their viewfinders. The 7D Mark II has an optical viewfinder, while the R7 has a 0.39-inch 2.36 million dot OLED electronic viewfinder. Some people still prefer the natural view of an optical viewfinder, but there are significant advantages to an electronic one, most notably the ability to see the impact of the camera's settings. If you adjust the exposure settings on the R7, for example, the image in the viewfinder changes and matches the captured image, which makes it easier to create the image you want. You can get the same effect with the 7D Mark II by shooting in live view mode and composing images on the 3-inch 1.036 million dot fixed screen, but it's clunkier than switching between the viewfinder and screen on the R7. The R7's 2.9-inch 1.62 million dot screen is also mounted on a vari-angle hinge, which, unlike the 7D Mark II's fixed screen, makes it useful for composing images in portrait orientation as well as landscape orientation. In addition, although you get a full array of button and dial controls, the R7 screen is touch sensitive and can be used to make setting selections and trip the shutter. It can be a more intuitive way of working. In another notable upgrade on the 7D Mark II, the R7 has 5-axis in-body image stabilization, which can give up to 8 EV of shutter speed compensation with the right lens and 7 EV with the RFS 18 to 115mm kit lens. The Canon 7D Mark II doesn't have built-in stabilization, but it can be used with stabilized Canon EF and EFS mount lenses. Lastly, the R7 is more than 200 grams lighter than the 7D Mark II, and as you can see, is quite a bit smaller. Addressing the question of whether it's time to sell the Canon 7D Mark II and switch to the R7. If the 7D Mark II still works for you, great, but the R7 makes lots of great upgrades, including some that will help you produce better images and video in many situations.